Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with versatile composer Richard Williams on the 2022 CD Hollywood Christmas. Even though this is his debut album, he has been around for quite a bit. He is a versatile composer, skilled in a wide spectrum of genres and moods, from epic orchestral to touching piano. He earned his bachelor's degree from Brigham Young University, won 2 Student Emmys at the College TV Awards for his film scores to BYU's animations, and has been quite celebrated over his career so far. Enjoy this Christmas-themed conversation.
Thanks for taking some time out today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's get into, before we get into holiday or Hollywood Christmas, I want to know, we just kind of went through this tumultuous time of COVID for the last couple of years, and I'm curious how this project factored in to that time of quarantine and all of that, and more importantly, how you survived that period now that we're coming out and you got a holiday album out.
Well, this has taken about 2 years. COVID was hard. I was working with a studio here locally before, and it didn't seem to affect them, but eventually it did. And so that was hard. I had to pivot once again. A lot of times you have to pivot in the music industry. Since I work from home, that was nice. I was just able to keep composing. So I just had this long-term goal and had made it my little goals, every week, every month, and just kept plugging at it until it was done, basically.
I know that, in the annals of people's catalogs, Christmas albums always play such a special, important role. What does this album mean for you?
Oh, yeah. So Michael Bublé and the Carpenters album are probably my top Christmas albums. And I love, just like so many people, I love Christmas. And, hopefully you can tell in the album, you have the fun big band stuff, and then you have some gorgeous orchestral stuff, and that's the kind of stuff that I appreciate. So I wanted to write more of it, to show more to the world that would be something important to have.
Let's go back in your life. What was your favorite Christmas? What was the favorite, maybe a gift or a Christmas that you lived through?
Yeah, good question. Probably, I don't know, maybe 3rd grade or so. There's 2 things that come to mind. One, I asked Santa for a diamond, and I did get a small diamond for Christmas. I was shocked. And another year, we asked for a Mario 3 on Nintendo, and we were so excited when we got it. So, but beyond that, there's the presents, but also just being with family. It's a great time for that as well, and thinking about the purpose of Christmas as well.
So at this point in your life, you've been pretty celebrated with awards and great things that have happened. And I'm curious how this journey began for you. Did you always dream as a kid that you were going to grow up doing this?
No, in 6th grade, I tried composing back in 96, but there was no software like there is today. So I couldn't keep track of my thoughts or write them down, or didn't know any theory or any of that. It was after I came back from my LDS mission around 2007 that I realized how much I appreciate music, and I found that there's this program called Logic, which allows you to play on the piano, record it, and then go back and edit it. And after that, I was like, wait, I might have a chance. This is what I needed the whole time. So that's when I started going for it, basically.
Talk to me a little bit about, I know that you went to BYU and you've done a lot of work with, you got 2 Student Emmys. You've done a lot of work with, Hollywood and, TV and film. Talk to me a little bit about how people may have heard you, but they don't know that it's your work.
Well, I'm on Spotify, I'm on YouTube. I have a band called Trend that also has written a lot of great music on YouTube. It kind of went viral for a little bit. So, I wrote an hour-long relaxing piano album, I think it's an hour-long Christmas piano album. But yeah, there's plenty of music out there.
Who have been inspirations for you when you were really getting into, singing and composing and all that? Who have been inspirations for you?
Yes, Thomas Bergeson from 2 Steps from Hell. He's orchestral epic, but he also does beautiful orchestral arrangements. He's probably my top right now. John Williams, historically, growing up, I loved his arrangements. I love the earlier works of Hans Zimmer, from Lion King and Pirates of the Caribbean and Gladiator. And and like I said, some of the arrangements from Mike Bublé's Christmas album. Chris Walden did a marvelous job, and the Carpenters as well.
What was the first live show that you saw, probably more specifically jazz-oriented, or otherwise, that really blew your mind, that really inspired you and made you think that would be something you would like to do in your life?
As a composer?
Yeah, as a composer, yeah.
Let me think. Honestly, I didn't really go to many live shows growing up, but I do have a memory of, like, in middle school again, when I was kind of inspired to compose. I would listen to my dad's classical CDs, like Mozart or Beethoven, and I would like phantom conduct with the speaker, and it was a little embarrassing, but I was really into it. So I guess that was like my first mini concert, you could say.
So what is it that you like the most about what you do? Every day you wake up, you get to create. What is the most satisfying part of what you do for a living?
Well, I think as a musician, you know, it's more on the business side than I would say the music side, unless you're very blessed to be able to create all the time. So when I do get to create, I appreciate the ability to, like, I could sit down at the piano, I could just start making up stuff because I've done that for so long. And so it's kind of fun. It's just like you're creating as you're going. It's like, if you can imagine that. And same with when you add like the orchestral part, you know, I can pull up on the computer some strings so I could hear some strings as I play on the keyboard. And it's just fun to be able to, like, try new things out, and you get surprised with ideas that you didn't necessarily try to make. They just come, if that makes sense. So I guess
sure.
And then you know, if you ever get, you know, sometimes I get the goosebumps because I hear something and I'm like, oh, that's gonna be great. Like in this album, first track, about somewhere in the middle, right before the sax solo happens, like Wayne Bergeron does this like triple run up to a triple C, and I was thinking of that, and I was like, you know, thinking of him specifically because I know he could do it, and that's one of my favorite parts of the album.
So if you could get into a time machine and go back in time and see a performer perform live, who would you love to go see?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh, I don't know. Probably Beethoven, I think. Probably just because there's so many great composers, but he's one of those that have always interested me with his passion and with, like, just take Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, like 3/4 of the way. He takes the normal motif and then he switches it and changes it to something kind of newish, like in a different way. I don't know what it is. Changes the key or changes the chords. And yeah, and his life story, I feel like he had a lot of struggle, and I can relate to having to struggle in the music industry and pushing your way through. Specifically for jazz more than anything else, why do you love jazz? Well, I would also say that I like mainstream jazz mostly. So I think that's what this album kind of shows. Which was like, again, it's like Frank Sinatra, Michael Bublé. It's just like a jazz, and so this kind of mainstream jazz is kind of like it has a classic feel, you know, it has a classic feel that you can't get in any other genre. And you know, when you're having a fun big band song, there's nothing else that can really you can't have EDM doing jazz, right? You know, you can't do. Some people try to do marching band jazz, but I feel like you can only get it when you get it, if that makes sense. So everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends, your fans, but ultimately you're the one living your life. Yeah. You have a perception of you. Who do you think you are? I would say I'm a very tenacious, hardworking guy that has a lot of determination. Like I kind of alluded to, I've had to create a lot of my own opportunities. And when I started originally composing, I was somewhat intimidated because I hadn't been composing like some people. Maybe that's all they do when they grow up. I hadn't. So I felt I was like 22. I think I felt late in the game, and so I was like, well, I have ideas. They come and they go. I don't know if I could do this, you know, big league, but I will try. And if I can't naturally do it, you know, I have writer's block or something, I'll work as hard as I can to make up the difference. And so, yeah, that's definitely something that's been true this whole time. Richard, thank you for opening up. Thank you for taking time out. I really appreciate it, man. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players and minds in Hollywood, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Richard for his Christmas cheer. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com. And for everything Neon Jazz, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.